Hey fans, fighters, subscribers and YouTubers, and welcome to the most spectacular fighting show on YouTube, fighters that will always be remembered. This show includes documentary stories of famous boxers, UFC fighters and K1 fighters that left an undeletable trail in their sport and should always remain known and famous for their achievements. Please follow episodes, send your propositions to my Facebook, and make sure that your fighter gets the next story. Hello and welcome UFC fans. I'm really sorry I was having a lot of obligations, and this is the reason why my show was a bit of a stalemate these days. Today I'm talking about Randy the Natural Couture. Well, Randall or Randy Duan Couture is an American actor, retired mixed martial artist and former collegiate Greco-Roman wrestler. He is a guy who became 3-time UFC heavyweight champion, 2-time UFC light heavyweight champion, interim UFC light heavyweight champion, the UFC 13 heavyweight tournament winner. Couture is the first of only 2 fighters to hold the 2 UFC championship titles in 2 different divisions, alongside with BJ Penn, who is also a guy that was able to win in 2 divisions. So, talking about Randy Couture, he is 52 years old, from Everett, born in Everett, Washington. Nicknames: The Natural, The Handy, Captain America, residence Las Vegas, Nevada, nationality American, height 6'1", weight 93 kilograms. Divisions: light heavyweight, heavyweight, reach 75 inches. He is a pure wrestler, a Greco-Roman wrestler, but in the last of his fights he applied a little bit of boxing, so we can say that he has some minor boxing skills. Fighting out of Roseburg, Oregon, Team Raw 1997-1999, Team Quest 1999-2006, and Extreme Couture 2006-2011. Black belt in Neil Melanson's submission wrestling system. In wrestling, he was NCAA division, he was Olympic athlete, Olympic alternate, and he was a Greco-Roman wrestler. He was active for 14 years, 1997 to 2011. Despite his not having a perfect score, he was winning and losing in the same time, but Randy Couture really left an undeletable trail, and this is the reason why he is so popular in this sport. 30 fights, 19 wins, 7 by knockouts, 4 by submission, by decision 8, losses 11, 6 losses by knockout, really difficult, 4 by submission, 1 by decision. Occupation: UFC spokesman, actor, University of Oklahoma State. He has 3 children, of which is the most notable Ryan Couture. Well, let's now talk a little bit about him. He was son of Sharon, Amelia, and Edward Lewis at Couture. He wrestled at Alderwood Middle School in Linwood, Washington, then moved to Linwood High School, where he won the state championship during his senior year in wrestling. He served U.S. Army from 1982 to 1988, attaining the rank of sergeant in the 101st Airborne, where he wrestled and did a little boxing. While he was in the Army, he applied for tryouts with the U.S. Army freestyle wrestling team. However, due to a clerical error, his application was sent to the Greco-Roman tryouts, and rather than wait until the next year, he decided to pursue it. Despite never having competed in Greco-Roman, he made a team. Upon discharge, Couture became a 3-time Olympic team alternate, 1988, 1992, 1996, a semi-finalist at the 2000 Olympic trials, a 3 times NCAA division All-American, a 2-time NCAA division runner-up 1991, 1992 at Oklahoma State University in 1999. He was the Division I runner-up at 190 pounds, coming second after Mark Kerr. He was working as a wrestling coach at Oregon State University when he decided to compete in MMA. So, let's talk about his wonderful fights. I made a good intro. So, first fight was versus Tony Halme, when he won via submission, rear naked choke, UFC 13, May 13, 1997. And second fight, it lasted only 1 minute. And second fight versus Stephen Graham, TKO punches, first round 3 minutes 13 seconds. Actually, then was only one round, by the old rules, and this is the reason why fights lasted so long. He won the UFC 13, and later fought Vitor Belfort, TKO punches. Victor Belfort gave a significant resistance to Randy Couture, but he was able to take him down. And Vitor Belfort is a guy who is not good on the ground, so he's a pure striker. Maurice Smith, decision majority, 21 minutes, maybe as much as I know, the longest Couture's fight. He won the UFC heavyweight championship. His first defeat came versus Anthony Inoue via submission armbar 1998. He was defeated when he extended his arm, and Couture was not a submission specialist those days, so this was the reason why he lost that fight. Mikhail Lukin also submitted him via Kimura. These were two really critical defeats for Couture. On October 9, 2000, he fought Jeremy Horn and Ryushi Yanagisawa. He won both fights on decision. Jeremy Horn via an anonymous decision, Ryushi Yanagisawa via split decision. And the spectacular fight versus Kevin Randle-Manel, collision of two wrestlers of UFC 28. He won the UFC heavyweight championship 3 rounds. This was a pure elimination match. I remember this match really well. I was looking at it. They were both transiting. This was a pure wrestling performance with also a performance of transitions and hits. Later, decision anonymous versus Tsuyoshi Koshaka and Valentin Overeem. Valentin Overeem really surprised him. Only 56 seconds were needed to defeat Randy Couture. This is something that nobody ever remembered, to see Randy Couture lose so soon. When he caught him via guillotine choke, his brother Alistair Valentin caught a strong guillotine choke, and Couture really could do nothing here. Also a huge weight difference. 2 fights versus Pedro Rizzo. First an anonymous decision, UFC 31. Defended UFC heavyweight championship also against Pedro Rizzo. UFC 34 also defended, and he lost versus Josh Barnett on TKO punches. Well, versus Pedro Rizzo, this was a pure finish in third round, but Josh Barnett TKO'd him in the second round. This is the time when he lost his title. Later fought versus Rico Rodriguez, submission elbow for vacant UFC heavyweight championship, but Rico was really strong with this elbow, and he showed him what a true lesson was. And later, what? This is maybe the most surprising fight for me. He was able to TKO Chuck Liddell via punches. He's maybe the guy who has the strongest punches, the strongest strikes in the world of UFC. And I wasn't expecting Couture to defeat him in 2003, but he won the interim UFC light heavyweight championship. Later versus Tito Ortiz, anonymous decision, UFC 44. Well, I simply a little bit disagree with this, because Tito Ortiz was also active. Tito Ortiz was also fighting good. Fight lasted for 5 rounds, I can't say that this is the pure decision. I mean, I would give them an extra round, I know it's against the rules of UFC, but maybe to declare it in a draw, because, you've got to give victory to somebody. I just don't know. Loss versus Vitor Belfort, only 94 seconds. Well, Vitor Belfort struck him really strong. And you know what? Vitor Belfort is a pure striker, and when he cut him, doctor stop. I mean, there is a chance that Couture wanted to finish this fight, but later Couture a revenge to Vitor Belfort on UFC 49. Also a TKO via doctor stoppage. First lost UFC light heavyweight championship, and later won the UFC lightweight championship. He lost it again versus Chuck Liddell via KO punches in the first round in their, as much as I remember, a second match. And later he won via versus Mike Van Arsdale. You know what? This Anaconda choke came as a bit surprise. It was from position when Couture was found in that moment. I highly doubt that he was able to do such transition. You know, Anaconda choke is a very difficult transition to be made, a very difficult submission. You need to be very skillful. Also, Chuck Liddell defeated him again, also for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. And this was the second victory of Chuck Liddell via KO punches in the second round. Later, Randy Couture transited into a heavier category because he was unable to win in these categories where he was fighting currently. Fight versus Team Sylvia, unanimous decision, 5 rounds. He won the UFC Heavyweight Championship and he defended it versus Gabriel Napao Gonzaga, TKO punches. This fight was extremely good. This was, as much as I remember, a very bloody fight. Gonzaga was laying down and he was punching so strong Randy Couture. Fight versus Brock Lesnar, TKO punches. I don't know, Brock Lesnar was holding him off the ground. This was a collision of two wrestling guys. I also wasn't impressed with this fight. You know, they were laying on the ground too much. I just don't like this. I like when people fight, not like when people use gayish fighting style. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira lost via unanimous decision, fight of the night, 2009 fight of the year. Brandon Vera, unanimous decision. He won him on UFC 105 in Manchester, United Kingdom, and then he returned to light heavyweight. This was first fight between two fighters already in the UFC Hall of Fame, and he fought versus Mark the Hammer Coleman. And this was a bit surprised because he won via rear naked choke, technical submission. I can't say I wasn't surprised there. And his legendary fight versus James Stoney. James Stoney was an amazing boxer. It was heavyweight bout, but he won via arm triangle choke. But you got to know one thing: James Stoney did not have ground game at all. Couture was able to take him down in the beginning of the match, UFC 118. And James Stoney was pretty much clown in that match. I mean, I liked him when he was fighting like this. He was a great boxer. This is something you cannot undo. But he wasn't simply born for UFC. In the last fight of his career, he won maybe the worst KO in the history of UFC when Lyoto Machida did that strong kick and he struck him here. And I can only say one thing: good night, Randy. It was jumping front kick. Really something that is known for karate guys, for karatekas like Lyoto Machida. And this is the guy who is the UFC Hall of Famer. He really proved a lot and gave a lot to this sport. About filmography: 2005, No Rules; 2005, Today You Die; in 2006, Invisible, The King of Queens; 2007, Big Stan; 2009, Red Belt, The Scorpion King, Rise of a Warrior. If you were looking this film, you remember probably Guy Sargon. I remember it. The Expendables, Tool Road, in 2010. One of my favorite movies. 2011, Setup. 2012, Hijack, The Expendables 2, also Tool Road. 2013, Geezers, Ambushed, Distant Shore. 2014, The Expendables 3, also Tool Road. Oh man, he was in my favorite movies. 2014 also Stretch. 2015, Hawaii 5-0. 2016, Range 15 and 9 Legends. This is Nine Legends is a documentary from video games. I was playing this video game in 2008, Command Conquer Red Alert 3, Commander Warren Fuller. You know, I was playing Command Conquer Red Alert 3 and I recognized him right in the moment when he was talking with that voice. I knew in the beginning that this was Randy Couture. About personal life, Couture was previously married to Sharon, Trisha and Kim Couture, nee Borrego. He and Kim filed for divorce in May 2009. He continued to coach her and support her MMA career. He has 3 children, sons Ryan and Caden, and daughter Amy. Asked if MMA could be improved, he suggested health insurance, retirement plans, as well as more equal compensation regarding other athletes and sports. He currently lives in Las Vegas, a town of gamble. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope we'll see each other soon. I was a bit out of time, I'm sorry. Please leave your comments and tell me if you would like to see any other fighter in Fighters That Will Always Be Remembered. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and subscribe us on YouTube. Send us your propositions to make sure to see your favorite fighter in this show. Thanks and see you all in the next episode.